Welcome, everyone, to MSP Tutor. I'm your host, Steve Taylor. Today, I'm joined by Ian McDonald from getKambium. Ian, how you doing, sir?
I'm good, Steve. How are you?
I'm doing great. I don't know if it's just me or if your video froze.
The video's gone. It was working about 10 seconds ago, and now it suddenly stopped.
I wonder if you hit stop cam and start it again, if that'll fix it for you. There you go.
Done.
Perfect. All right. So today our topic is how and why to talk about your client's business. So how and why should we talk about your client's business?
I can get right into it. To win business, you need to talk business. Our marketplace has changed. The people have changed. The technology has changed, and it's fundamentally affecting the way in which MSPs have got to engage with clients to win business. I've got a few slides, have to go through those and sort of get the conversation started. But yeah, MSPs need to talk business today, not technology.
Of course, the neighbor decided to start mowing his lawn now. Hopefully, you don't hear that.
No, so I can only just make out in the background.
Okay. All right. So, I guess where do we start? The chicken or the egg? Do we talk about how or why? I think we should talk about why. Why should we talk about our client's business?
Can I use a slide deck, because I sort of covered
Absolutely.
slides?
Yeah, absolutely.
Which screen am I going to cover off? So hopefully that's going to work.
It does.
So you can see that screen.
How and why to talk about your client's business, MSP Tutor.
Yeah.
Guys, he made a custom slide deck just for us.
Isn't that cool?
That is cool.
It shows effort. It takes me back to, I used to be an academic. I used to teach at Edinburgh University, and this is taking me back to that role. So it's fun. So yeah, why do MSPs need to talk and understand their client's business? It's looking at some of the sort of work done by CompTIA and others. They came out last year and said, the days of speeds and fees tech talk, talking, technology, tickets, boxes, warranties, that talk of the IT guy to the IT guy it hasn't gone altogether, but it has changed. The buyer persona has changed. The buying processes have changed. Sales and client engagement is changing. And the people that MSPs are talking to are changing. So 17% of channel firms said they sell to the business owner president. 28% sell to business executives, to marketing guys, to CFOs, to CEOs. They're not really going to be that interested in the minutiae of the IT environment. 31% sell to the IT environment. They will be interested. But 26%, about a quarter of the marketplace, talk to all these people. So, we need to have business conversations, to answer how we can align IT to business goals and objectives. So there's a wonderful quote I saw. I can't remember exactly, but these days, don't bring tech talk to a business fight. You just need to talk about understand the business and how you're going to align IT to that business. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so far.
Yeah, and sort of updating it this year. So 2023, things are changing. 2024, to succeed, MSPs really have to understand their client's business. How they can use technology to help them meet their business goals, how they can use IT to manage risk, to achieve compliance, reduce costs, to increase revenue. That's what the client wants to know. And the MSPs are really show what they do will help their client get to where they want to be using technology. So it's moving from being the provider of boxes, licenses, to the strategic partner, the IT people who are going to use their know-how, their solutions to support the business achieve its objectives. And again, just a further sort of validation of that is from Capterra. For MSPs to deliver value, they need to understand clients' business at a deep level, and then collaborate as true partners. And it's once you get to that conversation about the business with the business owners, the leadership team, that's when you trust the partner. That's when you make the money. That's when you've got a sticky relationship. So does that answer the question? Why talk business?
I mean, I guess.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
And in theory, the observations are, things have changed, and talking business, you need to align IT solution services know-how to your client's business and how it's going to make their business better. And getting into, so what does it actually mean? And this is all about, this is not looking at particular tools or methodologies. So I'm just looking at some very, high-level principles. So how do you get to understand your business? Step number one, key step is discovery. It's fairly straightforward. Go and ask right questions. That's the awesome Jeremy Nelson from Paxate Academy says. The first meeting with the prospect is all about asking the right questions, asking about the business, their goals, their objectives, their priorities, their budgets, their people, what keeps awake at night. Just getting that know-how, the nuances around the business and how they're going to work. And to do a discovery, to do it well, MSPs should put together a standardized set of questions. They can a discovery meeting probably going to be an hour if we're seeing a sort of a prospect for the first time. So 10 questions. Who are you? What does your business do? Why are you successful? What are your objectives? What keeps you awake at night? Just probing into the business and understanding it, and understanding how you're going to sell your services to support that business, and you're looking for opportunities to existing client upsell, cross-sell. Where are their gaps? There are tools that look at gaps from a technology push, but this is the client pull. What should you be doing that you're not doing today? And it's all talking about the business and their IT environment. And the questionnaires can also set the baseline for the future engagement. It's so it sets baseline for setting priorities for the business, setting their proposals for roadmaps. It all tracks back to the discovery conversation and what you're trying, how you're going to add value to business. And it also tracks through to QBRs. You talk to the business today. In 3 months' time, you're going to do a QBR meeting potentially and talk about how you've delivered recommendations, projects that are going to help the client reduce risk, achieve compliance, whatever that might be. And on the flip side of it, do discovery to understand if it's a right client for you. So a lot of people talk today, and I was at the Paxate Beyond event last month. There's a lot of talk about make sure you're selling to the right client. The client fits your business. You're asking about the number of employees, the location, their sector, who they're selling to. So it's got two sides to the coin. Understand the business, about what they're doing, and understand if the business is a right fit for your business. It fits your stack, your services, your geography, etc.
And I just want to add, excuse me, I just want to add that discovery does not stop once you've done it the first time for a prospect.
Correct.
As somebody's a client, you need to constantly go through discovery, at different departments as they spin up new services or business units, or sometimes just after a little bit of time goes by, things change.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So don't stop the discovery process?
Absolutely not. Discovery can be as part of QBR is discovery. Has anything changed? Do we have new things that we need to do? Are there new priorities? Discovery can be with an initial client, with a new prospect. It can be about the generalities of the business, understanding high level of the environment, the people, the business. At a future, in 3 to 6 months' time, you might do another discovery meeting, maybe tagged onto a QBR meeting, talking about AI. And are they using AI tools? Cybersecurity and AI is where the game's at the moment. So if you have the baseline discovery, but then the MSP can do governance workshops, AI workshops, tied into a QBR meeting potentially. So it's really getting to understand the business and into that depth and understanding change and changing technology and changing in the client's need. We know many of our partners who will do an annual discovery. So do a baseline discovery which sets up, what's our roadmap, how we're going to work with this client for the next 12 months. And then they revisit that for the next 12 months. It's going to set the theme for the work. It's going to set the roadmap. It's going to set the budget. So discovery is not a one-off. It's an ongoing iterative process.
Perfect.
And then number two, this is not rocket science. Make the report, make the recommendations, make it easy. This is one of an MSP that I know reasonably well. They're a partner, and I love Cameron's quote. So put together a report, give the client the report, make it easy for your client to understand exactly what they need to do and where they need to work. And that's coming from understanding what the business is doing, where the business is going, how they can better use IT to get there. And typically what we see and what other people say is you get the right report, you're giving them something which is business focused, business aligned, sells your know-how, and it will differentiate you from your competition. The client doesn't normally get that. So make it concise, make it focused, make it aligned to their business need. And the report it's not a report that says, hey, here's how we can help you. It's about what is the client doing well. And so you can highlight what's the client doing well. Where can their IT environment be improved? It's aligning the MSP's solutions, services, stack, and know-how to the client's business goals. If you get all of your clients, you're aligning them to your stack, you're going to make, in theory, higher margin from those clients. If you're not doing customized work for them or bespoke activities for them, everyone's being brought onto the same stack, you can make a better margin. And you get the report right, and the report is coming from a discovery meeting, a discussion with the client. So that the recommendations are aligned to issues and priorities agreed with the client. So when you go back to the client to say, hey, here's the report, we made some recommendations, what do you think? It's easier to overcome any objections because the report is based on what they said they need and where they wanted to go in their priorities. So you can track it back to that baseline. Hope again that makes sense.
It does, yeah.
And the whole approach, the whole framework lets you develop, a really strong client rapport. You're not just there to sell them something. You're there, you understand, you've taken the time to understand their business, understand how you're going to make the business better. And to quote one of our partner MSPs, it lets you build that level of trust with a client because they know that you understand their business and their systems and where they're trying to get you to. And this doesn't have to be horrendously time consuming. An MSP can put together a standard template. So it's used, if it's got multiple account managers, sales team, geographically spread, you've got a consistent approach to go to client. You've got a standard methodology. It makes things easier to put together the report. You can use a tool, that will make it easy, structured, consistent. So this doesn't have to take, putting a report together doesn't have to take days or days or whatever. You can do it in an hour, a couple of hours, using the right tools. And going back to Cameron's comment, he said, our clients know that we're here to help them. Okay, they know that we're here to, as a business relationship, but we're here to help them, not just to sell them something. And there's quite a big or subtle difference there. All good?
Yeah, that's perfect. I've got nothing to add.
I'm sorry, I'm zooming through this way too quickly. That's one of my flaws, is I speak too fast and in Scottish.
No, you're doing fine.
And point number 3 is, business focused QBRs. Go see the client, the prospect, the existing client. You're doing discovery, you're making recommendations, you're putting together the roadmap, you're setting the program of work for the next 12 months. You're going to measure that. And your service leadership, most people that I know, certainly in North America, know service leadership, know Peter Kajawa. His research, on their report last year, if you look at the OML5, if you like, the highest performing MSPs, they've got 5 common characteristics. One of them is they do QBRs. They do QBRs consistently with their clients. They're business led. They're looking at, how do we use IT to help the business drive revenue, to reduce cost, to reduce risk. They charge for QBRs. They build them into their managed service, for the annual agreement. And they use, again, a systematic automated process to make it easy. You don't have to sort of reinvent the wheel every time. And doing QBRs can be a whole separate conversation. You can have an MSP Tutor session on, how do you do QBRs. We can't do it today. But if you do the QBR, you do discovery, understand the business, setting the baseline, set the recommendations. The QBR is a business-led QBR, which then tracks and measures progress against that baseline. That's that's what we're seeing. That's where we see the direction going, and practice and other evidence would sort of support that.
So I don't want to get too deep into the weeds here, but your slide mentions operational maturity level. Is there somewhere that MSPs can go to learn about the different levels?
Yes, I mean, and there's different ways you can measure it. I think service leadership talk about operational maturity. So I think if you're a ConnectWise user, or if you go into their evolve groups, their peer groups, they measure OML. You can look at your tiers. What tier is your MSP in? Your 1, 2, 3, 4 MSPs. So I think we particularly focus on, in our business, on tier 2 MSPs, probably at $2 to $5 million US revenue, 20 plus people, around 20 to 50 people. So the easy way to do it, Google it, go to CompTIA, go to Kaseya, go to ConnectWise. They've all got their versions of this. They're the same thing, they've just got different terminology around it. I don't think, as far as I'm aware, that there's no common standard or no common language. It's a fairly consistent language, but there's sort of subtle nuances between them.
Yeah, and that's the one thing that frustrates me about, and this isn't a dig at ConnectWise, but we've got these operational maturity levels, but ConnectWise may say that you do these 3 things one way and you're an OML 3, but then some other organization may say if you do these things a different way, you're an OML 3. Mm-hmm. So that's the one thing that MSPs need to watch out for in this space, is a lot of things that come to how you run your business are more nuanced. It's Absolutely. Not black and white. Yeah. So you may be an OML 3, or you may be a 2, you may be a 4. it really depends on which benchmark you're using.
Yep. Yep.
But the most important thing is if knowing your OML level is important to you, then you need to consistently use the same benchmark every time you score yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. I absolutely agree. I think service leadership on their OML 5 or their OML categories, I don't think that they're too prescriptive. They're quite generalized, and you do these activities. You put together QBRs, for example. How you do it, there might be some common content to what they would say is a best practice QBR, but it's not being prescriptive as you have to have X, Y, and Z. There is some flexibility about how you do these things and how you achieve what you're doing at different levels. Always remembering, I referred to the fact I was in a previous life I was an academic, and I used to teach entrepreneurship, how to start up new companies. And one of the key sort of themes around entrepreneurship is you get lots of people giving you advice. You have to be selective in who you listen to. What might determine success is who you listen to. So MSP is going to get lots of advice about go do QBRs, but what people like some leadership do are looking at research across a large population of MSPs and trying to sort of give you that learning from that research, and it's useful. It's not the answer to everything, but it certainly drives. As you say, it gives you a benchmark.
Absolutely.
And then, discovery, put together reports, put together recommendations, do QBRs. It's all business led, and the point about research. If you look across, this sample of, and I think the service leadership have a pretty big sample of MSPs. If you do QBRs, MSPs that do QBRs that are business led, that focus on how they are going to help the client increase revenue, reduce cost, reduce risk. They have the potential to increase profitability by 2.5 times and increase their gross margin by 17%. Not everyone's going to achieve that, but that is potentially the difference. That gives you an indication of the difference that this process will have. Having a process, being business led, measuring that and delivering value to the business. That's at the end of the day, that's the outcome you might be looking to achieve. And this is actually my final slide, and we're only 20 minutes in. Moving away from the service leadership, that sort of empirical evidence and that research evidence about its practice. I've loved this another quote from a partner that we've worked with, and I think it puts together. They put the message across better than I do. Their quote. They talked about we want to understand our clients. What our clients are doing at a business level. We want to know where they're going to go and how they plan to get there and their values. And the great part about this quote is we want to do what's best for the client and go on a journey with them, go on the business journey with them. And if you get to that position with a client, you're the trusted partner, you're probably going to be a long-term sticky partner with them. That's arguably what you want to be. And for this particular partner, following that process, they've got less churn, they've got more recommendation of clients recommending them and more referrals, and they're winning new business. And this is all about, why do you need to talk business with clients? You need to talk business to win business. And Europe is a great example of that.
Mm-hmm. So earlier you talked about, we're done with slides, right?
We're done with slides.
Okay.
It's now, yeah.
So earlier you talked about, the importance of doing a QBR. And I think one of the things that a lot of MSPs find themselves doing is preparing all kinds of crazy reports for QBRs. And what I mean by that is, let's show them all the different things that the firewall caught, and let's show them all the different viruses and ransomware attempts that the EDR caught.
Yeah.
But so it's almost like a lot of MSPs want to do show and tell for validation, like, hey, can you give me a pat on the back and tell me I'm doing a good job, rather than using that QBR as a way to dig a little deeper into your client's business and learn about, like we said earlier, discovery, right? And learn about what their goals are for the next 12 months or 3 years, 5 years, however deep you want to go, right? I think honestly, understanding your client's 5-year vision is crucial to you being able to make recommendations as far as, all right, in 5 years you want to be here, and in order to be here, you're going to need these tools and services to be able to function at a high level. So how do we get from where we are to where you want to be, and how do we spread out that cost or whatever? How do we spread out the work,
the budget?
So that way it's not a huge project? That's what QBRs need to be for MSPs, and a lot of times they're just really missing the mark.
I'd absolutely agree. I think what you're talking about is, I agree with you. That's probably best practice these days. Talking about number of tickets resolved, time to resolve, how many threats have been blocked, etc. That's nice to know. Somebody in the business will probably want to know that, but the people on the C-level team, the leadership team, the marketing guys, they probably won't be that interested in that. They're probably going to be interested in how do I make sure that my data is safe, and how do I achieve my compliance? Because if I'm dealing with Visa card transactions, is my data secure? Am I compliant? That's depends on the MSP. If you want to provide those sort of services, that's what you're measuring. That's what you're looking at discovery. That's what you're measuring and reporting on in a QBR. It also depends on the client. Smaller clients, family businesses, less than 10 employees, busy people, they might not want to go into, let's look at a detailed look at the future, because I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing tomorrow. So arguably for smaller clients, the QBR won't be a great fit. But having that conversation to actually understand where the business is going is useful. That's when that should be working. Doing a sort of an update, maybe not quarterly, every 6 months, would be useful. But more and more MSPs, I think, that we see are going from small business to mid-market. They're just going up the value chain, where the businesses are probably a bit more sophisticated, a bit more professionalized. They want exactly what you've just said. They want a QBR measured against a 5-year plan, achieving that plan, the goals, the objectives, the roadmaps, the schedules for the next 12 months. Yeah,
absolutely, yeah. So, the name QBR, I think, is a bit misleading. It's a quarterly business review, but I don't think every client of yours needs to be met with every 3 months. Some of your clients will be fine meeting and doing a big review once every 12 months, once every 6 months. Some of them might need to be done monthly.
Yeah, quite possibly. There is, again, there's no right or wrong in this. If you read the Service Leadership Report around these OM05 MSPs, one of their findings is that these MSPs will religiously do quarterly QBRs. They will build the cost of delivering that into their managed services agreement. They've got a systemized process. It doesn't take too long for the business to prepare them. They can prepare them in a consistent, uniform way. But it all depends ultimately on the client, the people in the client. If they don't want a quarterly meeting, where do you go? So I think maybe the wrong generalization, but the smaller the client, the busier the people, the less time, the less people they have, they're going to focus on that sort of meeting. So if again, it's moving up the value chain from small business to mid-market to large companies, they will have the time and the reason to do quarterly business reviews.
Yeah. Now, how do we handle like negative feedback to our QBRs? Like, because eventually you're going to get a client that pushes back and says these are a waste of time, or I don't like what we're doing in this. I don't like what we're covering. That type of thing, or maybe you get the client that doesn't think their 5-year plan is any of your effing business. How do you handle that?
Our budgets. I suppose the number way to answer that, are they the right client? If they're not willing to engage with you and get involved in that conversation and talk about where they're going in the next 3 years, can you do your job as well as you'd like to? So maybe that's one angle to it. So maybe they're not the client that you really want to be developing, because they're not engaging with you to get to that level of that trust. You're not going to become the strategic advisor. If they are pushing back against the recommendations roadmaps, that's relatively easy because you said, well, in our discovery, when we had this conversation with you, you said these were things that were important to you. So are they important or not? So you can have that conversation, that dialogue. And some people might just be stubborn and going, I don't need this, I don't want this, and why am I doing this every 3 months? Then you're having that conversation about, is this the right client for me?
How important would you say it is to involve like senior management from the MSP in these QBR meetings? Because a lot of the time the upper management from an MSP, they want to hire, we'll call them an account manager, a sales guy, that they want to kind of quarterback all these QBR meetings.
Yeah.
And sometimes I wonder, are they just saying you're in charge of this and walking away, or are they involved? How involved do you think the CEO of the MSP or senior management should be?
I think the common view in that are, if you believe in doing QBRs and you believe in doing QBRs that focus on business, which I do, then you would want to have a member of the C-suite or the leadership team in a QBR meeting, because you're talking about how IT is helping them achieve their business objectives. You want the C-level or the executive leadership teams buy into that plan, because it's going to get bought into across the business. The business is supporting the plan, because if you're delivering security awareness training, you want the business to be bought into that, because you're asking the team, their employees to do, to get involved in a particular program of activity. So you probably do want you do want C-level or leadership team involved in QBR meetings to make sure that the business is bought into the proposals, the roadmaps, the activities, and the projects. I think that's not a nice to have, that's a must have. Not always easy to achieve, but just try and get there.
Are you aware of any strategies that MSPs can use to keep QBRs engaging and avoid them becoming routine or redundant?
Not strategies per se, that's probably just best practice. Making sure they are focused on the issues that are important for business. Making sure they're focused on revenue, cost, and risk. Making sure you're looking at looking at what's being delivered, what's been achieved, what's going to happen in the next quarter. So making sure that they're simple, they're focused, They're relevant to the audience, to the stakeholders, and arguably, best practice is don't try and reinvent the wheel every time. Have a standard framework to do it. You can go onto different websites and again look at different templates for QBRs. But my favorite one, and I'll be quite open about this one, is the template recommended by service leadership. Being business led, tracking against business goals and objectives, reviewing agreements, looking at changes, looking at the next quarter. It's having that business led conversation.
Now, how do you measure the success of a QBR? I know like a hard metric would be how much new business did I get from this? But I'm sure there are some soft metrics like maybe client satisfaction.
There will be metrics around, one is the MSP demonstrating to their client of showing their value. So what projects have been completed and delivered within the quarter, what has been achieved in the quarter, what's going to be achieved next quarter, and showing, keep on banging on about this, showing how it's helping the business get to where it wants to be. So it's not just looking at, as you mentioned, sort of ransomware attacks or things like that. It's showing it's becoming part of the business's planning process and part of that team, become the trusted advisor, like the accountant, like the lawyer, and it's having that high level conversation with leadership. So the metrics are, I would guess, I haven't actually looked at this in detail, is it's about client retention. It's about uncovering new business, uncovering opportunities, upsell and cross-sell. It's about staying relevant to the client. It's looking at changes in the client business and making sure you're tracking those changes. It's looking at recommendations, new recommendations, so you can actually track. If you're doing discovery well, you're doing reporting on QBRs as a streamlined process. You look at what's happening, what's our roadmap going to be over the next 12 months. So we know partners who at the beginning of a financial year will do discovery. That's setting the framework, the program of work for the next 12 months. The QPR is monitoring that, so there's no surprises, everyone's on the same page. You're getting buy-in from the right people. And it's just giving that evidence of value.
One of the things that I think MSPs are falling victim to is, and I don't mean to pick on you, Ian, but MSPs feel, a lot of MSPs lately feel like they can't implement something new, like doing a QBR, without first acquiring technology to help them do the thing. So full disclosure, Ian works for getKambium. getKambium is a platform that helps MSPs with sales and QBRs. To be fair, MSPs who want to get started with doing QBRs don't need any tools. Tools help. Tools absolutely help. Whether it's getKambium or one of the other probably dozen QBR platforms out there specifically for MSPs, yes, there are probably that many. Yes, they will help and they will make your job quicker. But if you're just getting started with QBRs, you don't need to just go and invest hundreds of dollars a month into a new tool just to be able to do this. That's only going to eat into your overall profit margin, and that's not an effective way to do business. Now, if you start doing QBRs and you start generating additional project work or additional MRR because of them, take that money and reinvest it into your business as a way for you to be able to do these more rapidly,
Yeah.
because the overall goal should be, I want to be able to knock these out more quickly, more efficiently, and be able to do more of them in the same amount of time. And once you make it so that way, maybe one QBR takes you 8 hours to prepare for,
Mhm.
and then you sign up for something like getKambium, and now it's taking you an hour and a half or 2 hours to prepare for. Now that means you can prepare for 3 or 4 QBRs in the same amount of time,
Yeah.
which means either A, you're servicing more clients than you were, like more of your existing clients than you were, or B, you've got capacity to bring on more clients, or
Yeah.
C, both.
Yeah. I think you're absolutely right. MSPs don't need a tool. It's not an essential requirement before you do QBRs. MSPs are arguably there's tool overload. We've got too many tools in the business. We've got to onboard tools. We've got to train people. That's all taking time. Is it worth it? What's in it for me? What's in it for you for the MSP with a QBR tool is that you have got consistency. You don't have to reinvent the wheel every time. Because if you're doing it on, let's say, a Word document or Excel, use Excel as a discovery tool or a sales tool, fine. But it will take you more time. It won't be such a reusable process. You won't be able to sort of implement the process across a team, either in your own office or geographically dispersed team. You won't have the same frameworks, the right questions. You probably won't have the same integrations to bring in feeds from your PSA or whatever it is to sort of support the QBR process. So yeah, maybe if MSP is getting up to speed with, do I need to do a QBR? They can put together a couple of reports, go to one of the vendors and do a trial, and see if you can just do a QBR using their tool, see how easy it is to onboard. Is it going to be a problem or a challenge for you? Or just put together a QBR, bespoke report for the client, and test the client through. Are they receptive to it? Not all clients are going to be receptive to it, but you can test. Is it going to work with our client base? Is it working with our team? Are people going to adopt it? And test all those things before you actually pull the press a button and implement the tool. But if you're a growing MSP, you want to move market, you want to move into becoming more services, standardizing stat, growing margin, then a QBR is a tool that you should be implementing to achieve and measure that progress. So it's as much for the business as it is for the client.
Amen to that, man. Well, Ian, is there anything else that you think MSPs need to know about effectively talking about their clients' businesses?
No, there is. I said earlier, it's not rocket science. It'll be natural to some people to have that conversation. It won't be so natural to other people. But the only the purpose of this conversation, of this session, is we believe that it's important for MSPs now to have that business conversation, and that business conversation should drive client engagement. And I could have done the session in 10 seconds. Just do this, trust me. Let's in a bit more detail.
Nobody ever listens when you say, do this, trust me.
Yeah, I know, I was blowing it.
All right, Ian, thank you so much for coming on here and doing this. Thank you everybody for watching, and we will catch you next week at the next MSP Tutor.